So previously, we implemented the terms and we implemented the login functionality, and like I promised, I'm also going to show you how you would implement the terms and conditions. Now, what if you are in a scenario whereby you'd want a user, you'd want someone a user to check in the terms and conditions before they proceed with the login, or before maybe they do like proceed with like a registration process. How would you implement that? And that is what I'm doing here. I want to show you how to do that. So to do that, this is an example. I kind of just implemented this to just kind of show you instead of just like coding it from scratch. This is what I want to show you how to implement. Like when you are logging in, when you click, when you like something like you log in. Let's connect to a server. You see, when you click login without accepting terms and conditions, then you get a message like this: please accept the terms and conditions before signing in. This can also be the same case when maybe if you want to implement this functionality on the registration page, you'd implement the same way I'm going to show you over here. So to do that, the only thing I did from the code, let me show you. I created, let's start with the login page. On your login page, if you want to implement this functionality, just below the error message, after the inputs, the email and password inputs, write this code, this HTML code. It's pretty straightforward. Or just look for like a terms and condition checkbox. It's this code. Also, you can find this terms and conditions code from the register.html template that I provided. I think I'm also going to attach this part of the code on the comment below. You can just use it if you just want to use this part. If you just want to implement this part, the only thing I want to insist on this part of the code is make sure on the input, here on the input, make sure the name is changed to terms, and then also add an ID. Terms, you need this, you need a name and an ID. If it's not included, make sure you include a name with the name terms or ID, or whatever name you want to include over here. I'm going to show you how to use it. And also on the label, make sure you include a for terms. We are going to use this like a placeholder when we are dealing with the view functionality. Also, something else I did include is this URL to redirect to the terms and conditions. So for you to do that, just go to the user auth, create another HTML page called terms and conditions. These terms and conditions will hold all the terms that you want to define in that website you are creating. In this case, I just wrote a simple statement. Like you can see, I said, these are the terms and conditions. If you don't follow them, well, we will see. It's kind of stupid, but I hope you get the idea. Then just add a URL to these terms and conditions like we did before, or like you do in Django. So just go to URLs, create a path called terms and conditions, then you say views.terms and conditions. This is a function I wrote. I'm going to show you. Then the name, it's terms and conditions. So if you click, you come here. No, sorry, it's here. If you click terms and conditions, you'll be redirected to the terms and conditions of your website. It's that simple. So to implement this functionality, what I did is I went back to my login function. Let me show you. Let's go to the views, and then this is the logging functionality we implemented before. You remember how we did it and it logged in successfully. But if you want to implement the terms and conditions, we need to add some extra parameters. And this is the new login page. It's the same. This is the new login functionality. It's the same as the above, only that in this I just add a small if function. So in this case, I'm saying if I can just go through it quickly, like I did before, I set an error message to none. That is, I'm saying that if there's no error message there, then none of the error messages should be displayed on the web page. Then initially we said if request.user is authenticated, if this user is authenticated, then we want to render a message and tell them that they are already logged in. And then if they are logged in, we just redirect them to to shoes.home, our homepage. Now, if that's not the case, then we were saying if request.method is equals to post, like we defined here. Let me just go through this quickly. If request.method is equals to post, remember this is a form with a method called post. Then what we want to do is we want to get the email and the password. We are getting this email. We were getting this email, name, email, and name, password that was being passed. And then here we were printing the email and password. This was like for test case. It's not a must you pass this, but if you remember previously, it's good for debugging. Then before we do the try and accept method, this is where now I add the check terms and conditions to see whether they have been accepted before we attempt to authenticate this user. So here what we are saying is if not request.post.get terms, then we provide an error message. Please accept the terms and conditions before signing in. Here essentially what we are saying, if the terms and conditions have not been accepted, what we want to do is provide this error message by saying if okay, normally it would be if request.post.get terms. Now that's true if the terms have been accepted, but if you add a note, it's if terms have not been accepted. And also you can see the name we are passing, it's terms, the one I was telling you about. So here on the login page you can see terms. On these terms and conditions, this name terms and this ID terms. You can include whatever name you want, but essentially you can keep it simple like the way I've did. And then you say if request.post.get that terms. If those terms and conditions have not been accepted, then we want to try this when you're authenticating the user. If they haven't been accepted, we want to provide a message. You accept the terms and conditions before signing in. Like, let me refresh this quickly. If I log in, you see I haven't accepted the terms and conditions. I'm getting that message. Please accept the terms and conditions. But when I click accept the terms and conditions and then I log in, you see it's logging in successfully, and now I can proceed with whatever I wanted to do. Let me just sign out. I'm redirected back to the login page. It's pretty simple. Yeah, I think that's it. Then the rest of the code is like we had implemented it before. Like, yeah, we said we want to try. Now, if the terms and conditions have been accepted or not accepted, we want to try to authenticate. This was just for the authenticating the user. We provided a variable name user. Then we are saying from the model user, the one we created on the models, we want to get the object email, and we also want to make sure that email, the one we are getting here, is equivalent to that email. Then we want to print whether that user was found. You see, we're printing this user. Then we want to authenticate that email we're getting and that password to make sure that everything is okay. Then here what we did is we printed the authenticated user to see whether the authentication was successful. Then here we said if the user is not none, if that user exists, then we want to log in. Then we provide a message, you are logged in, and then we redirect them to the home. If the user is none, then we want to provide a message. It's an invalid email or password. And then we close the try method with an accept does not exist. But in this does not exist, we append it with the user class, the user model we created. And then we also provide a message warning request saying that user with that email does not exist. It was pretty forward, pretty straightforward. You can also do the same implementation if on the register page. On the register page, it should be, I think it should be below this if form.isValid, form.save. After we save that form, I think we'd want to implement that functionality here. but before we proceed with everything else, and before we redirect the user to uh, the login page, it's pretty simple. Also, something else maybe I can also add to this. Previously, you remember we commented on this part of the code. I think I just uncommented. That is, if we register the user, we can just authenticate the user and then redirect them to the login page. Now, if this is not true, then what we'll do next is we want to use the login functionality. Then here on login, also something else I should say is you can choose to use this login with without the accept terms and conditions, or you can just use this login with the terms and conditions. I will provide both of them on the code, so no need to worry about that. Yeah, that's it. I think that's it for now. Then we are going to proceed with the next part later. Thank